Okay, we're live. All right, I'm going to wait for some people to come on. And if anybody hears any feedback, we're going to plug in our headphones. If there's echo on your end or our end, sometimes we have that with people. So if they start complaining about that, we'll put the headphones on so there won't be
let me know.
as much feedback. All right, 8 o'clock. There's the message from my phone that we are live. Hello, everyone. It is, what is it, Tuesday?
Yes.
Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. As promised. Hello, Laura Brown. How is everyone? Jane, how are you? I'm just going to say hello, everybody, real quick here. Michelle, Bonnie. Hello, everyone. How are you? I'm a bit under the weather today, so my voice may come in and out. Anna, Monica, Alex. I don't know what's going on, but I don't feel well. My head hurts, my body hurts, and I'm going to get through this because Michelle's nice enough to be here, and you guys are here, so we're going to do this. Hey, everyone. Jerry, Ann, Wendy, Lindsay, Darlene. Okay, so joining us tonight is someone we've met before, and pretty good at what she does based on our last interaction with her. Michele Granberg. That's her website right there. She's got it under her name there. Michele does a lot of work with past lives, past life readings, past life regression therapy. I met her just because I was interested in having someone on the cable access show to talk about it. And we were just discussing before we went live here that, on that platform, it's a half hour. We basically, said to Michele, look, we want you to come in and answer like every question we have. And then we want you to do a live therapy session. And she's like, sure. And lo and behold, we were talking about this the other day. Not only did she do it, she did it live and it was filmed. What you saw, if you go back on YouTube and watch that, just look up her name, look up past lives, New Jersey Paranormal. She did that live and she did that. It was one take. She just, boom. What you see in that take is exactly what happened during that session. It wasn't, an hour of trying. It was connection, reading, whatever you call it, session, and go. And you can see what Tanya came up with in that session. We're not going to do that tonight. We really talked about it beforehand. We're going to do something a little different tonight. But Michele, thank you for being here.
Hey,
John. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you do as far as past lives with your clients?
I do a lot with past lives. So I'm just so blessed. I get to explore past lives and basically the nature of the soul and sort of play in the metaphysical for a living. So what I do is I trained with Dr. Brian Weiss long time ago, and I do something called past life regression, which is a form of, it's therapeutic. It's like a form of spiritual psychotherapy. It involves some hypnosis techniques. It involves leading someone into an altered state so that they themselves, with my guidance and support, can actually recall their own past lives. So the premise of it rests on the belief, the fact, the understanding that all of our past lives are encoded within us. They're encoded within us. They're not lost. So past life regression is not that mystical or mysterious when we call it memory recall. Only it's like soul memory recall. So people are able to remember and they're awake enough. They're sort of straddling two worlds during that state. They're straddling this dreamlike state with this awake state enough so that they can report and verbalize the memories. Just like you and I might talk about what you did yesterday, you can go into the file, it's there, and wait, hold on, what did I do? And then report, and we can explore it sort of scene by scene by scene. And the point of it is that, sort of like psychotherapy, we're exploring the past to connect the dots to the present so that you have a better future. So you can look at patterns that are carrying over, fears that are carrying over, traumas that are carrying over, talents, also skills and abilities, and all the positive stuff, as well as any of the things that are still under addressed in you. And so 9 times out of 10, people have these past life memories, at least fragments of them. And me as the healer intuitive, right along with them on the journey, can help them understand their past lives. And then the other thing that also dabbles on the other end of past lives that I do is more so past life readings or Akashic readings. So this time, instead of the source being the client, where the memories come from the client, I'm more the source or the channel. I connect with them and their past lives with their permission, what we call via the Akashic records, so that their past life memories are encoded at this larger in the collective mind, instead of maybe their subconscious mind. I'm gonna pull past lives from the collective intelligence, and it's all there. I could say more about, I don't know. I just said a whole lot there.
I know. So, but again, for me, I've told you this. I've told everybody this. I'm a real skeptic when it comes to this stuff. Here's my problem with past life and the theory of past lives is in your opinion, what is the purpose of to keep living these lives over and over, or just what is the big picture here? Is this what happens for infinity? Do we just keep living? Does our soul keep living life after life after life? Is there a purpose to this whole thing?
I mean, I don't know if we go on living and living and living, but what this really looks at is the nature of the soul is so much more than we think that it is.
Right.
And the soul is multidimensional, and the bigger purpose is that we want to expand reality. So when you think of each life is like a sliver of something that adds to the greater reality. And as each soul lives a life, it contributes to the whole big ball of yarn of evolving, expanding life itself. So we're always on the leading edge of reality. We're creating reality as we go. We're giving birth to new realities by coming into the physical experience. And from the eyes of the soul, again, we could talk about it from the eyes of a human, and that's a different way of talking about this, or from the eyes of the soul. From the eyes of the soul, death, we know death is an illusion. We know birth is an illusion. There's really no birth, there's no death. We know that each life is a little bit more like a dream. It's a little bit more of an illusion than it is a hard and fast fixed reality. Our soul knows that and remembers that. So the soul chooses with free will and blueprints out potentially each and every life. Why? Why not? That's really the answer. Because we can. Because as souls, we can create realities, and we want to challenge ourselves and test ourselves to make it better each time. Ooh, I got unconscious in that life, and I did that, and I want to do it better. I'm going to come back. Different circumstances, different face, different name, but I'm going to keep the knowing. I'm going to keep the knowledge. I'm going to keep what I learned and apply it. I'm going to see if I can do it better. Doing it better means, in my mind, being kinder, being more empathetic, treating others, doing unto others as we want done unto ourselves. And that's, gosh, that really is never ending, because better can always be better. More can always be more. Evolved can always be more evolved. There's absolutely no ceiling on it. And each life gives us an opportunity to learn through opposites, through contrast. Basically, this whole reality is like total backwards, almost opposite of what the nature of the soul and the soul's reality is, which to me, my understanding of it from all of my experience and my own inner knowing is that it is all love. It's all love. All the Hallmark cards are light. It's about love. It's about light. Who we are is benevolent and already infinite and already immortal. So we play in the sandbox like we're kids. We play in the sandbox of what we can create, even in terms of swinging to darkness, so to speak, which is an illusion as well. It's a game, and I don't mean that in a way of minimizing it. I mean that in a delightful way, in the way that we're friggin' courageous. Souls get a medal. And we don't want to play small. And again, this is on the soul level. We come into this life because we actually yearn to play really big. And each life we get a renewed opportunity. We create a renewed opportunity to play big.
Here's another issue that again, through a skeptic lens. If the purpose is to get a new start, and why don't we carry those memories in the forefront so that we have enough knowledge to not repeat them and do the mistakes over and over and over again? You know what I mean? Why
Yeah.
why can't we just recall those memories in an instant so that it's, you know what I mean? What is the purpose if the
Forgetting.
lessons aren't there for us, so we forget them?
We forget them for the most part. We can remember them. It's very fluid. It's
But it's
very
not in the
fluid.
forefront. It's not like I can't recall any past life recollection.
You probably do, and you don't, and you just don't. A lot of it is you either
That
just
like
don't.
deja vu?
Yes, we have deja vus. We have just sort of feelings and inclinations, and even the things we lean towards in life. And our path will always lead us in the direction of whatever it is that we need to get. But I'm sorry. Yes. What was your question again now?
I was just saying again, for me, again, for a skeptic, it's like if I could recall this entire life, there are a lot of things that I regret, a lot of things that I would have changed if I had the chance to do it over again. So if I were to carry all that in the forefront of my brain, given a fresh start over again, I would definitely not repeat those same things and cause those same hurts. And you know what I mean? So that's what's so hard for me to believe, that if we do have these things, if we do have a past life, why is that? Why is that door closed to us unless we find a key to open it?
But
It
even
should
with
be right there.
But even with people with free will today, like people with relationships, people with choices, we know what we do every day in our choices now, and we still seem to follow that same path, and we're aware of what we're choosing and doing, such as getting into the same old relationships over, break up with this guy or this girl because they're abusive or whatever, but I jump right back into another one that's the same thing. We tend to be drawn to those same habitual things over, even though it's on our conscious and out in the forefront in our living lives now that we do the same. So maybe sometimes that doesn't help.
Yeah, the forgetting is, that veil of forgetting, can be very thin, or it can really, feel like a block for people. But forgetting, agreeing to forget, is part of the joy of it. It's part of the challenge of it, because when we do remember, then there's really an aha moment. There's a big moment, a big aha awakening kind of moment for people, versus, I don't want to say that it would be too easy. It's too black and white to say, if all our memories were front and center, that it would be too easy, that we might not even bother in some ways. Like, that's too black and white easy to say, but there's a certain amount of that. It's kind of like, John, when you go to a movie theater and you watch a movie, part of the fun of it even is to sit and be immersed in the drama. Now, how fun would it be if you're sitting there watching a movie and all the whole time your mind is going, yeah, but that's an actor playing a part, but that's a script, but there's a camera there and someone is behind the camera, and there's a producer over there and there's a director over there telling them what to do, and none of it's real. It's all fake and staged. We know that, but there's no fun in that. The fun in this is like a lucid dream that we immerse ourselves in, again, so we could just sort of milk the most out of it. We want to just bite into life. The soul does.
Kaylee has a good question.
I just real quick, when she did the whole the dream thing, I thought, row, row, row your boat. Life is but a dream. It's like what popped into my head right away.
There you go.
I see the questions here.
Kaylee's is a good one.
We're going to read a bunch of them as we go. So you want to start?
Kaylee wants to know, are phobias in this life caused by things that happened in our past lives?
Potentially. Potentially they could have started in this life. But, even if you can't trace a fear or a phobia to something in this life, then likely you're not going back far enough. But even if things start in past lives, often we replicate, right, a similar or even more intensified similar circumstance, so that we will trigger that fear again, because again, the soul really wants the opportunity to work through that fear. So each life is not completely a blank slate. And again, the soul blueprints some of those. How much am I going to put back on my agenda, and how much am I going to leave aside and just sort of have it be more open-ended, in that. What's that?
Little clues to, here's a little clue. I'm not giving you the whole answer, but here's a little clue that might trigger something for you.
Yes. Breadcrumbs.
Is that the same when it comes to friends, loved ones, family, are we connected to them through all of our lives? The same siblings, the same wife, the same children? I mean, are we all connected throughout all of this, or no? It's different.
Well, there's no absolutes, in that. It's like a case by case. We sort of sense that when I do regression with people. People usually know right away if they remember someone in a past life. I will always ask them as part of the session, do you recognize that soul as someone that you know in this life? And usually they give an immediate response, yes, that's my grandmother, that's my father, that's my best friend. Or sometimes they're like, maybe, no. And I'm like, well, then they're not. Then this is a soul that is new to you in this life. On the macro level, again, on the macro level of us as a collective, as a universal consciousness, we're all family. But I know that's not what you're asking.
No,
Right.
What you're asking is lifetime after lifetime. It's called, soul contracts. You hear it called soul agreements that we have with people, family and friends, those people we're close to, and soul clusters or soul families or soul friends, soul groups. Call it whatever you like. It's all really basically the same thing. That the answer is yes, that there is a certain amount of, and it's different for each life, and it's not written in stone. But of course, if we love people, love souls, and we have a bond with other souls, why would we say goodbye for it? Why would we want to let's go back again together.
Yeah, but see, here's my deal too with this. And again, I know I'm being but these are all the questions I have in my head. And I think we talked about this stuff already. If what you're saying is true about past lives, then again, in my brain, does heaven exist?
No.
I mean, honestly, is there a heaven where we all meet again and gather?
Well, she answered this to us before. She doesn't believe that.
Depends what you mean by heaven. Yeah. It's so hard to have this conversation because people bring so much, not baggage, but so much of their filters. Right. We can never be completely objective when we have these kinds of discussions. I know it because people are always filtering through their own subjectivity and their own personal.
But I'm asking you based on your experiences.
Yes.
Years of doing this.
I would call it, what we call it in the past life regression therapist realm is more life between lives, or the interlife state, or I like to just kind of keep it I like to say this, a higher place, yes, that we go, even though time space is an illusion. So that's a whole other, but yes, for sake of this discussion, yeah, it's not heaven per se, but it is, I would call it more, we shift our awareness to a different frequency. I'm going to think of it more like a dial, like a radio dial. Click, click, click. When we die, we go click, click. Oh, different reality. And we want to remember that us as souls, we're pure energy. We're pure intelligent energy, meaning that we shape shift, right? Meaning that that thought becomes form, that consciousness becomes form, in a way that we choose for it to be. So it's a little bit more of that, changing frequencies, than it is. I know we like to think of it because it makes it easier to manage the experience. We like to think we leave our bodies and we go to heaven or go to a place.
Right.
You can think of it that way, but I think that's more metaphorical
me too.
Symbolic.
I think that we as humans describe things or believe things based on
what we know,
what our comprehension level is as humans. We're limited to who we are and the way our brain works and the capacity in which we think. And I've said this a million times that they've asked MIT scientists about death and heaven and what happens, and they're like, maybe we're just not programmed or built to understand what happens next, the way the universe works and energy and the afterlife, if there is such a thing. Maybe giving an ant a cell phone and asking the ant to figure it out. It can't. Maybe we can't either. But the answers are after.
We can theorize. Exactly. We can have hypotheses about it, but science, limited sciences, and even psychology, and even quantum physics, and even neurobiology, none of those things have caught up to this, can measure the nature of the soul. So everything that you and I are saying, the only thing I know for certain is it's much more than that. So whenever I talk to people, I say, here's what I sense and believe and know in this moment. And it's even more than that. We are multidimensional. Wrap your mind around that. We're multi-life. We're located in more than one place at once. And even consciousness is not located in the brain. And all the studies with people who have near-death experiences show that over and over and over again. There's Dr. Eben Alexander, who had a profound near-death experience, and he was a neuroscientist, right? His brain was dead.
Yep.
And yet he had this vivid near-death experience. He ought not have had that, and he shouldn't have come back.
Right.
So there's all of that science knows is limited.
Well, somebody just asked, where did your interest in all of this come from? How did you get started along these lines? Was it a holy cow moment that happened, or were you just interested and did your research, or how did it all start?
I'm just like everyone else. I'm just a curious soul like everyone else. But I trusted my intuition to lead me, and I explored my curiosity. And that's a great tip I have for everyone is if you're really curious about something, curiosity is akin to intuition, is akin to guidance. Follow your curiosity. I don't think it will ever steer you wrong. But I started, like you're going to relate to this, playing with the Ouija board when I was in my early 20s, and that was so cool that like opened doors, made me go, wow, what else is possible? And then, like everybody, I started reading books, and then I tripped over Dr. Brian Weiss's book, But There Are No Coincidences, Are There? And that book, I was like, okay, it spoke to me in such a way that it rang a bell, like it resonated, as we say, and I just knew that this was something that I was going to wind up doing. I just knew it. It's one of those things, you just know what you know because you know it, right? And so I think that was in my blueprint, so to speak. And so though I did seek out formal training with him, and I have formal hypnotherapy training, I have formal trainings and certifications and things, but most of what I know you can't read in a book. You can't even learn it from a teacher, so to speak. And I like to think that we all know it. We're all privy to this vaster, higher knowledge because it's where we're from. It's who we are.
Right.
Again, we share one collective intelligence. So why can't we all channel it? I think it's just our doubts and our limiting beliefs that temporarily pinch us off and prevent us from just spilling it out, regurgitating it. And if you want to help other people, everybody's here to do service too. I always felt I wanted to do some service. I wanted to work with people, and so this just became my unique way of doing that. I encourage others that when you're looking for your path and people are like lost, what's my purpose? Try baby steps moving towards what feels best for you in terms of putting it in an umbrella of service. How can I serve? What excites me? And then how can I translate that into serving humanity?
Is that the purpose of the past life regression therapy, is to try to understand who you are now based on who you were before?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And most of the time people see how far they've come, which is really validating and comforting. The past life is not about dwelling on that past life. It's not about blaming that past life. It's not about having shame because of the past life. A lot of the time people understand that here's something I did in my past, and I've taken a lot of steps since then. And guess what? What really counts more than anything is this present moment. It's what we do. It's what you do with the knowledge and the information now going forward. Doesn't that count the most? Because we can't necessarily change the past or erase it. But there's no mistakes and nothing wrong with the past if you learn for it. And that is, again, the beauty of the potential. And I think that souls, even masked and disguised as humans, spirits in a human experience, have endless potentiality, infinite potential.
But you're from what I heard, again, what I saw from the Tanya thing, you can carry a lot of baggage from your past lives too. I mean, some of that stuff like what again? What the thing with Tanya with the abandonment and waiting for someone on a mountain. I mean, I see some. I don't want to get too in depth with Tanya and stuff. She's not here, but she has issues. Like I do with my father, and you know what I mean. It seems like some of that stuff like almost becomes a pattern. You know what I mean? If you believe in past lives, then what she's shown that during that session was being abandoned and waiting for her father and all that. In this life, she has issues with her father and not being around. So it's like, is there some kind of
She's
destiny
here, she says.
fate thing that there she is. Tanya's here. But you know what I mean? Do we carry the baggage of our past lives?
Well,
Subconsciously?
Subconsciously, and the purpose of the subconscious mind is to carry that stuff and bring it up, in one way or another. But the antidote sort of to that subconscious trigger stuff coming up over and over and over again is to try to be more conscious. You can just choose in your life as best that you can in every moment to be more conscious. In other words, just stay aware of your emotions and what triggers you. Stay conscious of it and work with it, or your beliefs, or be conscious of not adding more karma to your story. Right? Don't add new. We can't control all of these things that happen. Of course not. Absolutely not. But there's lots that we can control. So if you want your next life, in a way, to be the life that you can envision it and design as this fun and exciting life, or this life of service, let your current actions in a conscious way be the building blocks for that present life. So most of the time people come to past life regression for healing, right? So maybe someone like Tanya, who it's typical, it's unique, but it's also typical kind of motivator that people come, they got stuff going on in their lives, and they're drawn to explore their past lives to see if the origins and the roots of that past life are there. And it's at least a clue. It might not be the whole answer, but it's at least a clue or a breadcrumb very often. And so there's no guarantees, but very often what happens is they have, again, that crystallized moment where they connect the dots, and then they have a shift. And that's what healing really is. It's a shift in perspective. It's a shift in awareness. So maybe not that things will get instantly better the next day, but they've got a seed now. They've got something else to think about. And they can keep saying to themselves, maybe the reason this scares me, or maybe the reason this pattern or this cycle keeps repeating is because of that past life that I remember. So I like to trust the subconscious, and I say that when you're open and ready and willing and able to show up for yourself, something like this can happen, where at that moment when you remember that past life memory, you're going to be able to know exactly what to do with it. And that's why it's all important to also see a trained professional like myself and many others, because it's not just about curiosity, and because a lot of past lives can bring up emotions.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. See, me, I'm wired so different. I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, take, for example, what we just talked about with the Tanya thing. What I heard during all that was like, okay, I had this crappy thing happen to me in my past life, and it happened to me again. So what the hell? Am I going to do this like over and over again and be abandoned? And like, this is like, for some reason, this is my...
What Tanya
No, I read it, but I'm just saying.
Like she jumped off a cliff in that first one.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the pattern of it is like repetitive. That's what gets me. And that if I was someone doing what she did, like this would be my day. I know what people are looking for. I know they're looking for something better than what was. So I would be like, in your past life, you were a horrible drunk, failure, miserable. Everybody hated you, but now you're not that, right? Okay. You've already progressed as a soul. Thank you. Next. That's what I would do. That would be my entire day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you ever get into like, again, are these multiple sessions that like your normal client for past life regression? Is it one and done, or do they come back to really try to work through a multitude of lives or experiences?
Usually regression is whole and complete, but if it brings up, issues that kind of come up, but they recognize they have these sort of underlying, pervasive, repetitive, I don't want to say issues, but patterns and things that they struggle with, then I can work with that as well. I mean, I can work with, and then we might steer away from regression, or at least for a while, and do more coaching, and more healing work. And I might do hypnotherapy or tapping, or things like that. So again, it really is about not seeing past lives as in a defeatist way, or in a helpless, way, or in a hopeless kind of way, because maybe the very reason you're remembering it at that moment is that the release can start right then and there. Again, there's no guarantee. It's not like a miracle cure for anything at all. But a lot of the time, people have catharsis. And we don't want to underestimate catharsis. And catharsis is, and this might not happen for you, John. It might not, because we can hold back emotion. Of course we can. It's not going to flood out of us if we don't want it to. And we're still aware that these are memories. So we're not like completely lost in it and out of control. But people understand at some level, what I believe is feeling the emotions is what heals it. You got to feel it to heal it. And the catharsis, the release of that emotion as it comes up, that's the doorway to something better. It's not stuck anymore. It's not in, now it's out. And it really, most of the time, that's all it takes.
Processing.
That's all. Yeah, processing it. That's all. It's that moment of crying again, or being afraid again, or being angry again. Usually that's the last time then. Then from that point, you turn a corner and you go forward. But again, that's my role also. Let me be the one. I take the responsibility very seriously that when someone has memories of traumas or whatever it might be, and they're releasing emotions, now I step in a little bit more assertively. I don't just say, okay, well, you got some fear, you had some. No, now I'm like, tell me about that, but go ahead and feel that. Go ahead and let that go. Go ahead and focus on your belly and breathe into it. Go ahead and maybe put your hand on your heart right now. Let's feel into your heart, maybe where that's lodged. Go ahead and breathe that out. And I repeat over and over again things like, go ahead and release that. And I tell them, I reassure them, it's okay. What you're feeling is you're only going to experience it for a fleeting moment. It's really okay. Feel it. It will pass. And it does. It's a wave. Even like emotions in this life, I don't know if you ever have a timer or a stopwatch, whatever, when you're feeling an emotion, it's about 90 seconds. And then that emotion passes. But we don't want to bury the emotions or suppress them. During regression, people are very open. They let themselves be vulnerable in a positive way, so that when they feel the emotion, I can step in while their heart is open, and I can say, hold on, let's feel that. Don't swallow it. They can if they want to. I can say, you have permission. If you need to put that back in, go right ahead. It's your choice to do that. But I encourage you and invite you instead to feel it, because you didn't feel it then. That's why you're still holding it. If you had felt it and processed it then, it might not be something that you're carrying continually over with you. And they get it because they're in this state of higher intelligence. They're channeling. They don't know that necessarily, but if you're remembering a past life, you're in a different state because, right? They're in a more extraordinary state. And so at that same time, the intelligence, that is that higher intelligence, kicks in, and they hang in there and they get it. Let me just feel this. Oh my God. I did break a bone in that life, and that was traumatic. I did get shot. I did get abandoned, and let me breathe through that. And then pretty much at the end of every regression, we wrap it up as much as we can and make, we make it whole and complete. We take it beginning, middle, and end to some conclusions. So people feel good when they leave. Most of the time, they feel lighter. That's all I can say. I can't say exactly what was that. Maybe a lot of it was symbolic. There's no way for me to have a book to look it up in, but 9 times out of 10 people say, I feel lighter. Oh, I feel better. So that's something.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell future me to fast forward past this life because it sucked pretty much, so it could get to one of the other ones. This will just be the fast forward.
Oh, right. Be careful what you ask for.
Can you go? Let me ask you what you believe as far as this, though, because this ties into a question that somebody asked. Do you believe that spirits exist around us in buildings or anywhere near us, or are we all just caught in a past life cycle? Do you believe in spirits, that spirits exist?
I believe that all realities bleed over, that there's only the here and the now. So from that sort of metaphysical universal concept, there is, again, overlapping times and places. So it's very possible that somehow, some way, that we're tuned into that. Not most of the time we're not.
Right.
And sometimes, for whatever reason, we do step into sort of, I don't want to say a vortex, because that's not the right word either.
See, but that's a really good answer. And that again, from my perspective, that makes a lot of sense. And that, people try to explain spirits and the paranormal a lot in different ways, but that's a really good answer. And that, if you do encounter a place or a building or something that where you feel spirit is there, it could be the overlapping of, like you said, time and space somehow, where all of a sudden you are connected in some way, somehow. That makes a lot of sense too when it comes to theories of, spirit and spirit communication. And, it's all interesting. Like you said, it's you do have to open up your mind. So
You do.
when people come to you for these sessions, what is a typical session? How does it start? Do you say, okay, what are you hoping to get out of this, or do you just go into this is the process, let's see what happens?
We go into an intention.
Okay.
A lot of the time people reach out to me in the very first place with an intention or a goal in mind, a reason. Sometimes it's a pain point, what we might call a pain point. They're in pain about something, and maybe traditional therapy or something more traditional hasn't worked, or they're just drawn to this and they want to try. Sometimes they come just through curiosity, but people usually get what they need versus what they want. So that's why I really say we can trust the subconscious mind. So yeah, there's what I call pre-talk and post-talk. Before we get to the memory recall, memory material part of the session, we want to put it in some kind of frame so that there's a ton of memories in the subconscious mind, endless memories. So we want to zero in on the ones that are the most productive and helpful that you need. It's all meant to be helpful. It's all for the highest good. That's our overarching intention, for the highest good. And I set that space forever. And when that person arrives, for the highest good. And then it's, well, what would you like to get out of it? What would be your greatest hope? People aren't usually at a loss for words when it comes to, or they tell me about their life a little bit, and I can help extract and verbalize intentions for them. And then usually, again, we say the subconscious will pick and choose the memory that relates to that life, or begins the process of steering them.
Oh, so you're saying if there's a specific issue that through the meditation or hypnosis, whatever you do, the subconscious will steer in the direction of where this originated from, or how it kind of the pathway that it took, starting from this and then to where they are now. That's kind of what they'll go through. Okay.
Yeah. Subconscious will connect the dots and go to the origins. But still, it's usually pretty obvious, but it also takes me and a little bit of knowing and understanding past lives in general to help people connect the dots a little bit.
See, somebody asked, can you self-regression? And I probably know the answer to that, because it sounds like a guided thing to me, because somebody has to be on the other end kind of navigating the ship here. You can't just be the vessel open. You've got to, right? Am I reading that right? Somebody asked if you could do this kind of on yourself.
There'll be different levels of experience. You can practice and build the muscle, because some of it, remembering past lives, is a little bit like meditation. So the more you practice, the deeper you go, and you can kind of build that muscle of it. So anybody can listen to something guided. There's a million of them on YouTube, and maybe recover some fragments of past life memories on your own. And then, but to do the part of it that I do, I think take someone who can just be invested in you, but it's still detached as the healer and the guide, so that you can just free flow, stream of consciousness, report what's going on. I can hold the space and then help you with the more conscious kind of work, which is understanding it. But there's no reason why you can't start out like practicing getting memories, and then sometimes people will come to the session and say, I've already had, I think, what I believe is a memory. Can we start there? Okay, I trust.
But it's
whatever
kind
you
of like
say.
somebody going on a hiking trail without a guide that's never done it before. I mean,
That's a good.
you gotta do this in levels and find out where your comfortability and where your abilities lie. Like, I'm not going to go take the hike that's often camping if I've never been hiking on my own before. I'm probably going to take the guided tour.
So
Great
Michelle,
analogy. Perfect analogy.
where's the best way to reach out to you? Is it Facebook or is it the website that you have there if people want to schedule these type of things? The website that you have listed might be the easiest one to remember for now, but I'm sure you could also request her on Facebook if that's what you're comfortable, and then send her a message. I'm sure she would accept that as well. I just want to get that out there. We're going to get back to that again. I just want to, people are asking. So, you mentioned another type. You said past life reading. Is that what we were talking about before we? All right, we're going to do this. Are you okay doing this now? And then we'll talk about some more stuff, or?
Sure.
All right, so do her first.
No, do you? People want to see you.
All right,
we did a
go
survey
ahead.
yesterday. They want to.
As long as I don't have to be hypnotized, go ahead. Shoot. Go ahead. Do the mind meld. I'll do it.
I just.
Let's go.
I'm sorry, that was cute. That you like. It was like you were throwing her under the bus, but there is no bus. It's all good.
Right.
Okay. All right. So right. She's like, this happens every. Wait. So do you want?
We're not doing a regression. This is a past life reading. I'm not going to go under the Jedi mind trick.
No, John, you have to come to my office and do that.
Okay, that will
you gotta sample it so that
another time.
That's another thing. But the difference a little bit, and so I'm going to do you first. So John, I'll focus on you first. The difference is the past life regression is I'm regressing you, the person who comes in. You're the source of the memories. They're coming through you. They're validated through your mouth, through your subconscious mind.
Right.
On the other, I've been orbiting in people's fields of, when they're remembering past lives for so long that I became highly attuned intuitively. I feel like I almost go along with them, even though I'm not the one telling them their past lives. I feel like I'm right. I can see it when they're talking about it. I feel like I'm like right in the memory with them, like standing there watching it just as they're watching it. And what developed from that is a little bit of an ability to kind of connect with what's called the Akashic records, which is just symbolic. Again, these are all more symbols and metaphors than anything else. But we say that all of our past life memories are there's a compendium or a library. It's not an actual library, but it's just a good analogy, a vast library with every past life of every single soul, not only every past life, but every thought ever thought by every individual soul, every emotion ever had, everything they observed, everything they witnessed, everything. This is the idea behind the Akashic records, that there's a trace, there's an impression, that we leave an impression. Again, we're not invisible. You could try to hide in the closet, and there's absolutely no way to be invisible to the universe because we're connected by these invisible threads. So that's what it really speaks to, and not just in this reality. Exists within that compendium, within that vast library, that record of all who we are. So let me tune in for you before.
Okay, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 15. Go.
14. Was it right?
I wasn't actually thinking at all.
I can't do that. And I'm not psychic at all, by the way. Okay. So, and I don't have all the answers in terms of type that. But if you give me permission, let me see if I get something, because it's kind of fun and I usually do. So for John, you let me access your record. Let me just bring my vibration up a little bit. Yeah. So here it is. So this is what usually happens. I just get this like download, like all of a sudden like a picture, and I also get words that come to me, right? That's how it works. So I see you as a man in another lifetime. I see you as that's impossible, right? I see you as poor and disheveled. So first it's giving me the image of you, and I see that you have some teeth missing. But that's not important. I don't want you to
just giving me the reading that I gave you before, what I would tell everyone. You sounds like
So, but what I wanted to convey is that you are a caretaker of a cemetery.
Oh, cool.
During the during the Dark Ages, during the Middle Ages, during the Dark Ages in Europe. So here's what I'm getting. I'm getting Austria, okay, and this is during the Black Plague. This is during the Black Plague. So what this is wanting
I
to
was
convey.
busy.
You were busy. That's exactly what I was just going to say. It's weird. It's weird, right? So as the caretaker of the cemetery, you were around death a lot. And you were actually responsible for burying hundreds, if not thousands, of people that they were dying during that time. And so on the one hand, it's letting me know that either you became very comfortable around death, or potentially maybe quite the opposite. Not only that, in that life, what I'm getting is you lost everybody near and dear to you, and I'm very sorry about that. Even though that happened then, it's not happening now. Still, you lost everybody near and dear to you, and it gives me the sense that you even had to bury your own. You even had to bury your own loved ones. I'm also getting about you that you did a little bit of drinking in order to cope, and you also had a disability. And I'm not going to get too far into that because it's not that important, but it did build your sensitivity, is what I'm getting, to people with disabilities in this life. Right. And people who drink, or maybe you struggle with that. So I want to ask what else I want to get.
Actually, I don't drink at all. I mean, and my father
maybe
had a drinking problem.
That's why.
That scared me away from alcohol of any kind, so I don't drink at all. But yeah.
Yes, so that may be another part of it.
Yeah.
So there's so much more to this, but I only get these little fragments.
No, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
What I want to tell you one more thing about that, because what I'm asking about that is what strengths got
developed. So that's the life I'll have them fast forward through. This one's not so bad compared to that one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good, because what I sensed from that life, even though it was hard, that entire life was hard, right? And yet here you are thriving, and you've lived to tell the tale. So big deal that it was hard, and it's over anyway in that way. But you built a lot of inner strength and courage. Your courage in this life, and you do have a lot of courage in this life, you started to develop it. If not, you developed a lot of courage in that life. And here's the other thing: you actually developed a morose sense of humor.
Yeah.
You developed it, and you started to develop it. You had to, in order to friggin' survive. That life was about survival. In order to survive that life of death and illness all around you, you developed a sense of humor that got you through and lives in you to this day. Does that make sense? I hope.
That was pretty cool. We did that with any mind meld. See that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, now we're gonna do my
beloved.
Sweetie. This ought to be good. And tell me if she was crazy in her past life. That's all I need to know.
Oh, we're all crazy. We're all a little crazy. That's what makes it interesting. How dull would it be? Yeah, it's a good thing. I said, okay, so Crystal, you give me permission, yes?
Yes.
I know you do it. It's good. I always make people say yes anyway and shake their head so that I can kind of connect. So let me connect with your record. Let me see. Bringing it up there. Okay, so the Akashic Records presents me with a past life for you where you were a woman. And what I'm getting quickly as a download is that you were a nurse, or like a nurse, Gettysburg. This is what I'm getting. I'm getting that you were a nurse, or like a nurse. You were trained, but maybe not trained. So here's the thing. It feels like you were a resident of Gettysburg, and you volunteered when the war came through to take care of wounded. Women could not be doctors at that time. There's something about not an issue, but something about that wants me to tell you that. You had to wait for the doctors to come, but you would nurse the wounded and triage them. Very important role, right? But in that, what I'm getting that came from that in terms of the emotional component of that was that you were sensitive to their wounds, and you wanted, very compassionate, as you are in this life, I would say, and you wanted to save all of them. And there's no way. You had to make that life and death decision between who to leave on the side bleeding, to who to save who was bleeding, and who to make sure the doctor would get to first. And because of that, and there was so much death around you, and because you were part of making those decisions, and you helped so many, but you still carry with you a little bit of overwhelming guilt. from that life. And it maybe it made you, you know, be okay around people who are dying, or maybe it's a trigger for you in this life. It all depends how much you process that. And something about blood, it was a lot of blood. So either, again, maybe you're very freaked out by blood in this life, or maybe you're kind of comfortable around blood because there really was a lot of that.
I've actually been a caregiver for a family member who passed away. Yeah.
So you're continuing in that role. That role is like not an archetype, but it's an overall part of who you are that's already built in and hardwired. And so it's going to show up differently in each life, but we carry, when something's so hardwired, we carry it with us, and then we just keep building on it. We just keep building on it like a talent, like if someone knows how to play.
It's like your imprint.
What's that?
Basically your imprint.
Yeah, it's your imprint, and it stays with you because we add unto ourselves in every life. We don't lose anything, but we add unto ourselves. And I think the most important thing about that life, why it's showing up for you, is to just validate that you're on the right, not there's a right or wrong path, but your path, it's validating you're on a path of service in this life. And it's all part of what it is that you decided to do with that journey and this journey, serve.
Makes sense.
To serve. And you became very strong from that life as well.
Yeah. Makes sense.
At this point, I would ask for my money back because I had the sucky past life where I was drunk and had no teeth. And I would find someone who'd tell me I was Julius Caesar.
No, you don't think there's honor in the fact that you buried people?
Sorry.
No, well, you're saying that because you got the good one. You help people. I was some drunk.
So did you.
Burying people.
So did you.
He helped. He doesn't. Yes, he's underestimated. You did help.
We're gonna have another person next week to read us again. Who I
okay. Until you hear what you want.
Pre-screen them and get a approval on my reading prior to.
No, I'll tell you. You were Napoleon or someone, whoever you were them.
No,
honestly, I've never come across that. I've never come across that someone was someone famous.
A lot of people are asking again if they can get readings, and I recommend that. I mean, if this is something you're interested in, and it looks like a lot of people are, then Michelle's the one to do it. I mean, Michelle. How long have you been doing this now? 18
years full time.
Wow.
I do this full time. I don't have a day job. I mean, this is my day job. Like, I've been doing this spiritual work full time. And it like gangbusters. It sort of started, and there's a lot of demand for past life regression, and I think it's reflective of a greater spiritual awakening that is happening, that people are even seeking this out. So I do it remote. I can do remote sessions, obviously, in this day and age, and I'm doing some in-person sessions in my office. I'm in Princeton, New Jersey, so you have to be kind of willing to travel now or at a later point down the year when things kind of clear up that way. And readings, and I can definitely, certainly do remotely. People can go to my website, which is michellegranberg.com, and you can get all the information. I'm on the internet. Just go on the internet.
So are there like 30-minute regression sessions, an hour? I mean, what's the deal like with that? Is it as long as you want to have, go through a session? Who sets that? Do you have different time? You know what I mean? Hour, half hour.
The regression is a minimum of 2 hours.
Okay.
So be prepared. If you're going to come for regression, you have to block out a minimum of 2 hours that we're together.
Okay.
It might go a little bit over, but usually that's like the perfect amount of time. A reading can be, I can't do 30-minute readings. It's just not enough time. But an hour or 90 minutes, or even a 2-hour reading if you want. But we set that in advance, of course. And then I do a lot of other things too.
What about this type of thing, like what we just did, the past life reading? Is this something that you offer as well? Doesn't take 2 hours, right? I mean, you could do this probably.
Yeah, no. I just, the readings, the past life readings, same thing. I can't do 30 minutes, but I can do an hour as the starting point.
Okay, well that makes sense.
I ask people whatever they're drawn to. If they want to do an hour, they can select, or if they think they want to, or they can come back again.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't. Again, it's involved, and it's not something, you can't just like we just did in 5 minutes, and it is involved. Somebody's asking again, and I don't know if this is really something that, they said, could you please ask her if when you pass, do you see your loved ones again or not because you're already progressed into a new life, quote unquote? What is your experience as far as that?
My experience is
I asked the same question before, sort of, kind of. A lot of people have this idea because of religion or other things that when we pass, we all get together again, we see our loved ones and everything like that. But past life kind of bunks that and says you're being recycled and recycled and not recycled, but living your soul is having a new.
You're going to a different phase of a new plane.
So, I mean, I don't know how to answer that question. I really don't think any of us know for sure, what the answer to that is. I mean, a lot of people believe that, like you said, time, space, everything, that we're sort of split, so
I'm gonna put my 2 cents in about that. I mean, most everybody here knows that my daughter passed away in August, very suddenly. So for me, thank you. For me, the essence of the connection that we had and the bond that we had cannot be broken. I don't believe that like what you said earlier, love is the key component to everything with life. My love for her and her love for me can never go away. It exists forever. So she is here with me, even if it's not in a physical sense.
Well,
I've never lost her in an essence. So the idea of going to see her in a religious way of what I was brought up, that is comforting, and to a certain extent, I do believe in that, but not in the way of what we understand of seeing. It's different in my ideals of what that is.
yes, 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 and yes. So yeah, and I'm just going to reiterate that you're right. It is love that is that is the eternal thread between us in that way, and that we really are always connected. And just because someone is out of our sight doesn't mean that they're not with us. And I'll just remind people again that your thoughts and your consciousness are very powerful. We create this reality, this physical reality, but we also create the non-physical reality. And I'm saying that because what do you want to experience in the afterlife? Guess what? You get to design and create that as well. You do already, and you can consciously do that as well. If you expect to meet someone when you cross over, you're going to meet them. All right.
Okay. And that's a little more reassuring to people, I think, as opposed to just black and white. It's this, that, or the other. Yeah, Kathy, she does do the virtual readings. That's what she's been talking about here. That she is doing some readings in her office, but she is available for the virtual readings as well. So again, just go to her website or follow her on Facebook and send her a message. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are going to try it. I mean, and what are the odds that you'll be drunk losers who worked in a cemetery? Probably not that great at all, but I wish you better luck than I had. Michele, you've done wonders for my ego and my, I wasn't feeling well, but now I feel good.
No, I feel like I have to like.
I thought you were supposed to
end on that note.
this. Now I'm more depressed than I was an hour ago.
No, but you were loved. You were loved. And the thing is that that's over with.
I thought I lost everyone I loved, but I guess I was loved at some point.
You were loved. You were loved, and yes, you did lose a lot of people.
And the love he has now should make up for anything that he feels neglected. Do you see how he twists things, Michele?
Be grateful. Be so grateful for those you have around you. That's absolutely.
Thank you, and Michele. It was great seeing you again and talking to you.
You're always impressive.
Yeah, you are.
Thank you.
I knew this was going to be just as good as the first time, and that's why when I thought of this, I said, "Oh, you know what? Longer platform, more that we could discuss." And I think it was great. And yeah, toothless but love. Thank you. That was on my. I believe that was on my tombstone, Heather. Right? It was a toothless but love. That was, I think, the year of my death. John Ruggiero, toothless but love. Thank you. And on that note, have a good night, everyone. Thank you, Michele, for joining us. Remember, there's our website right there, Michele Granberg. You can look it up on Facebook. And, we'll see you guys in a couple of days.
Stay
safe,
everybody.
Stay healthy. Take care, Michele. Good seeing you.
Thank you.
Good night.